30 quarters. We never missed church on Sundays. During Mass, we made petitions, which meant thanking God or asking Him to help us. Last year, I mostly asked God to help me with my boyfriend wish list. No miracles like the cutest guy in school becoming my boyfriend, but small things like moving from a close encounter of the first kind to a close encounter of the second kind. This year, asking for help with boyfriends seemed so immature. Sure, I was still boy crazy. How could I not be? There were so many cute guys in the world, and Derek had been talking to me every day. We were definitely having close encounters of the third kind, but I couldn't waste my petitions on boyfriends anymore. Last night, Mom made applesauce and toast with strawberry jelly. She didn't throw up, and we all cheered like during a Super Bowl. By 7:30, she was completely exhausted. She tried to stay awake and watch videos with us, but she fell asleep sitting on the couch. Dad told us to turn down the volume, and then she helped her to the bedroom. We finished the movie, but then Jimmy still needed a bath. I couldn't let him go to sleep all dirty, so I got the tub ready for him. The whole time he fought me and cried, "Give me mommy, give me mommy." And when I tried to read him a bedtime story, he grabbed the book, threw it on the floor, and cried for her again. That's when Dad came in and told me to settle Jimmy down. "I am settling him down," I said, all frustrated. "But he's not listening." Eventually, Jimmy wore himself out. He wore me out, too, but my night wasn't over. When I walked into the bedroom, Carmen had toppled over a big jar where we dumped spare coins. She was sorting them, "And then I'm going to count them," she exclaimed. "Tonight?" She nodded. I didn't want the light on, and I didn't want her to hear mumbling numbers, but I was so tired, and since it took too much energy to fight, I just put on my earphones and listened to my iPod. Normally good music calmed me down, but my mood ring was the amber color. That meant I was unsettled, probably because I couldn't help thinking that even though only Mom had cancer, my entire family seemed sick. On Sunday, I was still thinking this at church, so during petition time, I closed my eyes and asked, no, begged for help. And for my part, I prayed, "I'm going to work on my promesa." Keeping my promise, I changed into some comfortable clothes as soon as I got home. I wore a t-shirt that had the picture of the abominable snowman with a caption that read, "Yeti or not, here I come." I grabbed my clipboard and headed out, approaching the cul-de-sac with more determination than Jimmy when he wanted an ice cream cone. Most of the neighbors didn't answer yesterday. Maybe they weren't home at the time. Maybe I had better luck now, especially since it was Sunday. Weren't people nicer on Sunday? Or they came back from church. I knocked on the first door. Nothing. I knocked on the second. Nothing again. The third person answered but quickly said, "I already gave to charities," and the fourth one said, "I have diabetes. Are you going to raise money for my diabetes too?" What was wrong with these people? Any amount was acceptable. I'd take $1 if that was all they could afford. I looked at their houses. They had 2-car garage, chimneys, and automated sprinkler systems. Many had signs that let everyone know about their security alarms. Security alarms meant expensive stuff inside. If they could buy expensive stuff, then surely they could donate $5 to a good cause. So why are they being so selfish? I was getting angry. I wanted to stand in the middle of the street and scream, "I hate this neighborhood," but I didn't. Instead, I dragged my feet, dreading the next doorbell. At one point, a little dog joined me. He had white fur that was all muddy. He stayed with me for a whole cul-de-sac, and then he disappeared. I decided to try one more set of houses. I walked up to the first door, pushed the button, and heard the ding-dong and then some footsteps. I knew someone was spying on me from the other side of the peephole, so I rang the doorbell again. A few seconds passed, and then a man answered. "Weren't you here yesterday?" he asked. "You and another girl?" "Yes," I said, "but you didn't answer, because I don't like to be bothered." How rude, I thought, wanting to walk away, but remembering my mom and stood firm. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you," I said. "Then why did you? And why are you here today? You're not selling Girl Scout cookies, are you? Those things are overpriced if you ask me." "No, sir, I'm not a Girl Scout." "Then why are you carrying that order form? You want money, don't you?" I nodded. "You kids," he said as if being a kid were the worst thing in the world. "I can't go 1 week without some kid begging me for money. First it's the school band, then it's the church choir, and always those Girl Scouts. Haven't you kids heard of working for things?" "I am working for it," I blurted. "If you'll only let me explain. I plan to walk in this year's race for the cure. It's for breast cancer, and the reason it matters so much is because my mom's sick. She had an operation this past summer, and now she's getting radiation treatments. They're making her sick, but it's all the doctors know how to do. So I'm out here ringing doorbells, working to raise some money. But if that's not enough for you, I'll wash your car or mow your lawn or bathe your dog if you have one. I'm not asking for a lot, just whatever you can spare. I had to catch my breath after all that. He stared at me a moment. I thought for sure he'd slam the door in my face, but he didn't. I'm sorry to hear about your mom, he said finally. Then he pulled out his wallet and handed me a $20 bill. If you don't have to wash my car or anything. Thanks, I said, handing him the clipboard. He signed my sponsor form, and as he returned it, he said, You keep bothering people, okay? I will, I said. He smiled, and then he shut the door. This was going to be tough, but maybe it wouldn't be impossible. I spent another hour bugging people. A few more offered to help, but most ignored me or even gave an excuse. Maybe going door to door wasn't the best strategy, but I didn't know how else to reach people. I was about to head home when I heard a familiar voice calling, Rover, hey boy, where are you? Sure enough, Gumwad turned to the corner. He carried a stack of papers in one hand and a dog leash in the other. From a distance, he looked like a normal guy, even a little cute, though his arms and belly were a bit soft. Hey, Gumwad, I called. Over here. He spotted me and jogged over. Didn't think I'd see you today. What are you doing out here? He smacked a yellow piece of gum. I'm working on my social studies project, I explained. Me too. He blew a bubble, popped it, and licked the gum off his upper lip. Look here, he said, handing me the stack of papers. There were lost dog signs. One had caption that read, Have you seen me? Over a picture of a sad-eyed dog that reminded me of Jimmy when he didn't get what he begged for. The others were like police descriptions with the color, size, and breed of dog. All of them had reward amounts. Are you sure you're going to keep the rewards? I asked. No, I really want to find these dogs. I don't care about the money at all. He seemed a little mad, as if I'd accused him of being awful. Maybe I should have apologized, but I didn't do anything wrong. Honestly, if I found a lost dog, I'd keep the reward and no one would think I was a bad person. We stood there without saying a word. The only thing was constant smacking. Being alone with Gumwad was awkward. Usually the other robins were around, so I hardly noticed him. But out here, away from school and alone, I had to notice him. But I did not want to look at his face, so I looked at the dog posters instead. That's when I saw a picture of the muddy white dog. I just saw him, I exclaimed. Really? Gumwad beamed. Where? Follow me, I'll show you. I hurried to the last place I saw him. Now that I knew his name, I called out, Max, come here, Max. Gumwad called for him too. It took a while, but eventually the muddy white dog appeared. He ran to me, all happy, while I petted him. Gumwad checked his dog tag. Sure enough, he was the one on the poster. We managed to get the leash on him, and we walked him home. Do you see how happy those people were? Gumwad said after we returned Max. Max seemed happy too. I bet he hadn't eaten in days. And he was probably drinking water from a ditch, Gumwad added. Then, speaking of thirsty dogs, do you want to get a slush from Sonic? Are you calling me a dog? No, he said. I just thought you'd want a drink since you've been out working so hard to get names for your mom. Great. I didn't look like a dog. Instead, I looked like someone who was about to pass out after working so hard. I didn't really want to spend more time with Gumwad, but how could I turn down the opportunity to go to Sonic, especially when the cute high school boys like to go there? Besides, it was close by, right at the end of the major street that branched into the cul-de-sacs. Sure, I said, I'll go, but I don't have any money. I glanced at the manila envelope. This is for my project, I explained. Don't worry, I got cash. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of quarters. I'd never seen so many quarters in my life. He must have had 30. See, he said, I got enough here for a hamburger, too, if you want. Okay, I laughed. Let's go, then. I sent a text to my dad telling him where I was going and when to pick me up. Then Gumwad and I headed to Sonic. As we walked, he told me about his gumball machine, how his parents bought it one Christmas, and how he gave enough quarters to buy the gum. When he ran out, his mom bought a fresh supply. Then he took the quarters from the machine and started over. The same quarters had been going into the machine since he was 8. We both ordered lime slushies at Sonic, and Gumwad surprised me by throwing out his gum instead of sticking it to the side of the cup. When we enjoyed our cool drinks, he told me that the dog he lost when he was in kindergarten, he never had got over it. That's the real story of why I'm looking for the lost dogs, he explained. You're too sentimental. He said, Just because I care doesn't mean I'm sentimental. He was so serious when he said this, but then he started to laugh. You can put that on one of your used to t-shirts. My face must have looked confused because he added, I used to be sentimental, but now I care too much, get it? After a moment, I got the joke and laughed. You're right, I said. That's the perfect line for a t-shirt. I'm going to write that down. And I did, right on my manila envelope. Gumwad talked on about all the cool rides at Disney World, where his family had spent vacation, but I hardly paid attention because I had already heard his Disney World story. Besides, a sporty black Volkswagen had parked at the ordering console right in front of me. When the tinted windows rolled down and the driver leaned out to push the call button, I saw a god, honestly a god. Not like the god at church, but the gods in mythology, the ones with long hair and bulging muscles, the ones who rescued helpless mortals like me from evil stepmothers or seven-headed monsters. I couldn't stop looking at him. He was a shiny new toy, and my eyes were Jimmy begging, "Gimme, gimme," and then he caught me staring. He rubbed his eyes to get a better look. Then he winked. I couldn't believe it. He winked. What are you looking at? Gumwad said, turning around and seeing the VW guy I was secretly calling Thor. Are you staring at him? I could only sigh. Why are you staring at him? Because he's super handsome and because he's winking at me. Can you believe a cute guy like that is flirting with me? He's not winking, Gumwad said. He's got something in his eye. Either that or his contacts are bothering him. I cited the guy's frantic winking. Okay, maybe Thor's contacts were bothering him. That's probably why he kept rubbing his eyes. But it didn't matter because he was blinking, some even with all those tears and blinks. He was handsome even with all those tears and blinks. When guys are flirting, Gumwad went on, they wink in a different way. Like how? He ran his hand across his face as if erasing a chalkboard. Then he opened his eyes, looked at me, and winked. Put his whole cheek and forehead into it. Seriously, he squeezed half his face. That's not flirtatious at all, I said. You look like Popeye. Let me try again, he insisted. I got all nervous. Why would you be nervous? It's just me. He didn't answer. He just looked away for a minute. After a while, he said, that guy's old enough to be in high school. He's probably old enough to be in college. Maybe, I said. You should be interested in guys your own age, not guys like him. He's too old for you. Says who? I asked. At most, he's 6 years older than me. I've got an uncle who are 8 years apart, and they get along just fine. Besides, I'll be in high school next year. I glanced at my moon ring. Look, it's purple. I lifted my hand to Gumwad's confused face. The stone is purple. So that's the color of smoldering passion. How could you feel passion for someone you don't even know? It's called love at first sight. People have been writing poems about it since forever. Gumwad frowned. He probably hadn't discovered love poems yet. Just then Dad pulled into the parking lot and waved me over. Gotta go, I said. Thanks for the slush. Sure, you're welcome. Anytime. I hopped into the car, and as Dad drove away, I glanced back to get another glimpse of Thor, but Gumwad was blocking my view.